Hi everybody, this is Mario Hernandez. Thank you for watching. Today we're going to talk about creating a sub-theme using the Zen base theme. And some of you may know that I already have a video that covers creating a sub-theme using the Zen base theme. But this time I'm going to use Drush, which is a command line tool that really takes development to a whole new level. It saves you a lot of time because you're not longer doing tasks using the browser and menus and different screens. You simply type a few commands and you can execute pretty advanced tasks. Anything from downloading modules, enabling modules, to downloading and enabling themes. And then this time we're going to actually download a theme, the Zen based theme, and then we're going to create a sub theme from that. And I would highly recommend you look into the Zen documentation, which you can find under Drupal.org project Zen. And if you look at my other screencasts, you'll see that I already talked a lot about what Zen is all about and why you should use it as a starting point when you work on your next Drupal project. It offers a lot of advanced tools and web standards compliance and best practices. It supports HTML5, responsive web design, mobile first, SAS, Compass, right to left orientation. So it's a great sub theme. I'm sorry, it's a great base theme to start with. So I'm not going to spend too much time explaining what it is or what it does. I would highly recommend you come to this screen here and check it out for yourself. So what I have here is a simple vanilla installation of Drupal. I have done nothing here, absolutely nothing, zero configuration. And I'm going to start by going to the appearances screen, and you'll see that there's pretty much nothing here except what comes with Drupal out of the box. I like to comment that the other reason I'm recording this screencast is because some people have asked after they watched my original video on how to create a sub-theme not using the Drush. Some people have asked, what do I do next? How do I style my website once I have a sub-theme? So once we do that, I'll go ahead and walk you through a quick few steps that will give you an idea how you style your website once your sub-theme has been created. So let me go back to the home page here. We're going to be away from this screen for a little bit. What I'm going to do now is I'll open my command line. And if you're using Windows, this will be obviously your command line tool. I'm using a Mac, obviously, so I'm opening Terminal here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate to where my Drupal installation is. And if I go under this path here, if I do a list, this is the installation that we're going to be working with. This is what you see here. So what I need to do is, because I'm going to be using Drush, and I will highly recommend that you take a look at what Drush is and what it does and how you can set it up on your machine. I'm not going to go into how to install it, set it up on your computer, but I would simply show you, the things you can do with Drush. Typically, if you want to install a theme, you will go into Drupal.org and the theme name or address, and you go scroll down. You click on the zip or gzip file, you download it, save it somewhere. This time I'm going to save it here just as an example. And it's downloading, and once I go to my downloads folder, you will see that it's up there. So you would normally go and expand or extract the content of this. Then this is what you end up with, the Zen folder. So you would copy this. I will go to my Drupal installation, which in this case is right here. Navigate to sites, all themes, and I will paste the Zen base theme there. And if I come to my Drupal installation now, if I go to Appearance, you will see that Zen is now there. It's not enabled, but it's there now. So that's not so bad. But you know, think about it. You're probably doing a lot of other tasks when you're creating with a website, so that could be time consuming. Let me show you how you would do this using Drush. Let me delete this now because so I'm gonna go to my command line and I will simply do Drush dl zen. Basically dl stands for download, and I simply need to be in the folder where my Drupal installation is, right? So as you can see here, it says project and then the version. It was downloaded to this folder. I'm sorry. Yeah, I apologize. Let me get rid of that real quick. I missed one step here. Okay, so Zen is gone. What I need to do, as you can see, Drush did its job. It downloaded the theme, except because I was not in a specific Drupal installation folder, it just placed it at the place where my current location was. So what I need to do is I need to go into Drupal, which is what my website is running out of, and I can go into sites default if I want to, just to be a little more specific about what Drupal installation I'm working with. Let me clear this real quick, and let me try one more time. Drush download Zen. So it downloaded, and this time it tells me, because I was already within a Drupal installation folder, it says that it placed it here, which is where it's supposed to go. And if I go back to my location, you can see that Zen is back there. I had deleted it, but now it's back. So that's how quickly it is to download a theme or a module if you're downloading modules. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to refresh this because now it's a different version. I've never done this before, creating a sub-theme using Zen and Drush. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to enable the base theme, just in case we need to have that theme enabled. I don't know if it's required to create the sub-theme, but I'm going to do it just in case. You can see how when I enable the theme, it tells me that I need to run cron. And let's say you're not in this screen right now, you're somewhere else on your website. You will have to go into configuration, you go to cron, and then you go to run cron. Well, here's another thing with Drush. I can just simply try Drush cron, and it tells me that cron was successfully ran. And if I go back to my appearances screen, the cron message is no longer there. So that's again just a quick idea what Drush can do for you. So now that I have my theme enabled, I want to create a sub-theme using Drush. And before I do, I want to see what the commands available to me are for working with Zen and Drush. If I go Drush, help, and Zen, it gives me a list of some of the commands that I can use for working with Drush and Zen. This is pretty much what I want to do here. Drush, Zen, and the name of the theme, my own theme that I want to create. I can do optional. For example, if I want to assign a separate screen or machine name, I can do that. If I don't want the right to left style sheets, because let's say my website is not going to be read on a Hebrew language, then I can add this option here, this switch, and it'll exclude the right to left style sheets. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to simply do this here, and let's see how that works. Again, I've never done this before, so I'm going to do Drush Zen. I'm going to call it my theme and enter. And it says here starter kit for my theme was created, and it gives me the entire path of where I am here. Sites, all themes, my theme. So if I go here, you can see now there's a new folder here. It's called my theme. and everything in there is what I need to be able to work and look at my theme. One of the other things that I could have done is I could have added a description for my theme. So when I look at it here, and refresh the screen, is here, it just says my theme and there's no description. But I can do that myself later on, and I'll show you how you do that real quick. So the first thing we want to do is we want to enable the theme. So we can do that through the browser, of course, but let's try this Drush en for enable my theme. Let me see if that works. That usually works with modules. It's asking me the following extensions will be enabled, my theme. Click yes, and then if I go here, if I refresh the screen, you can see that my theme is now part of the enabled themes. So I can set it as default. I'm sure there is a switch for enabling and making it a default automatically, but I don't know what that is. I'm gonna run Chrome one more time and refresh here, and there it is. Okay, so now if I go to my home page, now you can see that I have a look and feel that is not the traditional or the normal look and feel for Drupal, and that's because now my theme is the one being used here. So that's as far as I can go and showing you how you can use Drush to download a base theme like Zen, create a sub-theme out of that, and then enabling that's the sub-theme. So what I like to do now is jump real quick into how you would style this, how you can start applying some of your own styles. And to avoid confusion, I'm going to log out. So I'm dealing with simply just the plain content and no admin toolbar there that will distract. The first thing is I'm going to open the files that allow me to be able to start working with my CSS and start styling my theme. And obviously I'm already there, but let me show you how you can get there. I go to the root of my web server. If you're using Windows, it will probably be the www folder, depending on whether you use a WAMP or XAMPP. On the Mac, it can either be applications, MAMP, htdocs if you're using MAMP. I'm just using the built-in Apache server that comes with the Mac. So I'm going to go into Drupal, which is my Drupal installation folder, and in there is sites and all and themes. Okay, and this is where the two themes that we have now, the custom themes that we have, is the Zen base theme and the sub theme. So I'm going to drag this to my editor. Okay, so here's my web editor, and here's all the files that are part of my theme. Now this uses Sass, and if you're not familiar with Sass and you are writing CSS, I would highly recommend you look into Sass. Sass is a preprocessor that allows you to write more efficient CSS. It has some advanced functionality such as variables that you can use on your CSS, mixings, nesting and things like that. So look into that if you're interested in writing more efficient CSS. And here's my CSS file. So these are the files that get compiled when you work with Sass. Okay. Today I'm not gonna focus on Sass. I want to just keep it simple. I'm gonna just stick with CSS, and here is this styles file that Drupal is using. Let me just confirm that this file is actually being used by Drupal. I'm going to do I'm going to save this and I'm going to refresh my screen. Yeah, okay, good. So that file is the default style file for Drupal, and so we know it works. So again, I'm not gonna be using Sass. I'm going to be working from this file just for the purpose of this screencast. One of the tools that is very critical when you're styling a website that can save you a lot of time and frustration is Firebug. Firebug is a plugin that you can install on your browser like Firefox that allows you to actually take a look under the hood and see what the markup looks like, how things are put together, so you can visually see what you're dealing with and then start styling accordingly. I personally use Chrome as my default browser, and Chrome has development tools built in by default that allows you to let's see, refresh this. Did I save the changes to my CSS file? I guess not. I don't want to be dealing with the red background, so let me. So if I right click on my browser, I can choose to inspect the code, and what this does, it brings up the developer tools the browser, the Chrome has built in. You can also download, if you don't use Chrome, and let's say you use Firefox, for example, you can download Firebug. And Firebug is a little plugin that you can install to most browsers out there that will give you the same functionality as this here. And the main premise for this is that you can actually take a look and see how everything is put together under the hood. As you can see, as I move down the markup here, things on the page get highlighted, telling me this is where I am, and I can see visually how the different elements, HTML elements of the page are put together. So this makes it great for when you're styling a website, because you can visually say, okay, I see what's happening there. Maybe I need a little bit more padding and more margin, things like that. So I'm going to be using this as we style our website. So let's start by creating some rules for the body. And I'm going to say background. I'm just going to use, a light gray background. The color of the text is going to be dark gray. The font size, let's say it's going to be 14 pixels. What else? Line height, it's going to be 1.5. The line height is what allows for paragraphs, for example, to have a little bit of separation through each line, so the text is not so close together. It's easier to read. So by specifying 1.5, what I'm saying is 1.5 the size of the font. That's why you don't see 1.5 pixels or 1.5 ems or 1.5 rems. I'm just saying 1.5 of whatever the size of the font is. So that makes it for a nice way of specifying that. What else can we put? Font family. We're going to use Helvetica, Arial, Verdana, Arial, Sans Serif. This is called a font stack. You're specifying multiple fonts in the event that the people who are looking at your website don't have the specific font that you have declared there. That way they fall back to the next one or the next one or the next one, and ultimately they'll go back to the sans serif or serif, whichever font type you're using, which all browsers, all computers have. What else can we do here? I think that's it for now. Let's save this and let's go back to our browser and let's refresh to see if we see any changes. And as you can see, things got a little bit different now. The font, the typography looks nicer. The background looks a little too dark maybe, so let's clear that a little bit. Let's make it darker gray. I'm sorry, lighter gray. Let me close this window here. I'll leave this open. And I'm going to refresh that, and now it's a little bit lighter. It's still nice gray. So what I like to do is, there is not much content here to work with. So one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to download a nice module. It's called the Develop module, which allows me to create dummy content, because right now you want to be able to style a website and have some information, some content, some text or graphics to work with, so you can kind of see kind of the way kind of things will look when you have the real content on your website. So there's a nice module called Devel, and if I go, let me just make sure where I am here. Okay, I'm good there. I'm not going to use Drush again. Download Devel. Okay, and that's nice there. So I'm going to enable dev module, Drush, enable Devel, and Devel generate. That's pretty much all I need. So I'm going to say yes. I want to enable those two portions of the module, and it was done successfully. If I go and log in again to my website and go to modules, I'm going to collapse this, and you can see I have the development module there. So what I want to do is I'm going to create some dummy content. I go scroll down to under development. I go to I can say generate content, but let me start by first creating some taxonomy terms. Create terms for tags. That's good. And now I'm going to generate users. I'm going to generate 50 users. This gives us the idea of that there's people on the website with terms or tags that they can use. And now I'm going to generate content. And because out of the box Drupal comes with the article and basic page, those are the two types of contents that we can generate. If we had other custom content types, those will show up here too. And you can choose to create dummy content for those content types as well. This time we're just going to stick with Drupal's out of the box content types. I'm going to generate 50 different pages and 50 different articles. And again, this is so our website has information that that we can use for styling purposes. Okay. Once I get out of there, you can see that now my homepage has articles and pages. When I click on that, it takes me to the article. So now I can see how things may look once the real content is part of my website. So again, let me log out again, so I can get rid of that toolbar. And some of the things, I'm not going to go too much into detail about everything you can do with styles. Obviously, this screencast is not to show you how to style your website, but simply how to go about styling a theme that you just enabled and installed. So one of the other things that I can do is there are some nice colors for text, for example, that maybe I like to use. Yeah, this is nice. I'm going to use this here. I'm going to go back to my CSS, and I'm going to say for the links, and I also include a link because sometimes Drupal assigns the pseudo class of link to the anchor tags. I'm going to say the color that I want is that new orange that I just copied. Text, decoration, none. And I'm going to, for the hover effect, I'm going to say text, decoration, underline, and I'm going to save that and go to my website. And when I refresh this, my links should be now the color orange, which is nice, the color there. So that's how you can see how you can do that. And you can see the paragraphs here. This is if I didn't have that 1.5 for line height, this paragraph would probably be collapsed together and it'll be harder to read. Let me actually comment this line just to show you. And I'm going to refresh my page. It actually, it looks like Drupal is applying, the theme comes with predefined styles, it looks to me. And we can, again, go back to our inspector, and that's how we can determine where some of the styles come. Because let's say maybe this is not the way I want my paragraphs to be styled. I wanted to do it my own way. Well, how do I know where those styles that are here are coming from? So if I look at the paragraph here, see how when I click, I mouse over the P, the paragraph gets highlighted here. That tells me that I'm looking at that particular element. And I'm seeing here, it says user agent, and see this normalize the CSS. This is a file that comes with our theme. we didn't create it, but it comes with theme, and that's what it's doing. The some of the styles. There's also here we see our 1.5 line height is being it's been overwritten, and that's coming from here. Normalize the CSS. See that it says line height 1.5, but this time they're specifying ems. It's not recommended to use unit measurement units because you want to make it 1.5 unit less, so it would inherit whatever font size you are using. So if I was to write my rule differently, let's say I wanted to make it more space, so 1.6 instead of 1.5, and if I refresh, the other rule is still writing. It's still bigger than mine, but that's okay. Again, this is all about you controlling how you want things to be displayed. For example, I don't like this big gap between the paragraph and the title of the page. So how do I know what those elements are and how I can get rid of some of the space in there? I can see that the title is an H2, and when I look at H2s, there is a line height of 1.2, but there's also margin, and this is coming again from the browser itself. It's applying all this margin. So maybe for my H2s, I want to eliminate some of the margin on the bottom, right? I want to say I just want it to be 4 pixels. I'm using pixels here a lot because I'm not focusing on mobile friendly or anything like that. I'm just showing how you can customize your theme the way you want it. And so if I refresh the page, the user agent or the browser is using a little bit more margin. It's using ems. Ems is you know, a relative font size that you can use. Not just font size, but you can use it for padding, margin, dimensions, anything. But it's a lot definitely more than what I want, basically. So what I want to do is I want to reduce this gap here, and if I refresh my browser, it didn't do much here. That's because I think some of the spacing is also coming from the paragraphs. Look at the orange area here. When I hover over, you see the orange area, that's padding that is coming from the paragraph. It's actually margin. I can see it right here, and it's 1.5 em. So that's a lot. It's more than what I want, right? It's on the top is 1.5 em. So one of the nice things about the developer tool is that you can test things right here. If I say no, I don't want any margin, I can just do 0, and you see how things got closer together here. So this tells me, okay, I need to change the way the margins on the paragraphs are set because they're way too much. So I can go back to my CSS file. I can say for the paragraphs, I want the margin top to be, let's say 4 pixels, margin bottom to also to be 10 pixels, for example. So if I refresh my browser, you can see that things are a little bit separate. Now the spacing is much more reasonable. The nice thing about our CSS file that we're using here is that whatever rules the theme files have on your theme, you can actually override them with your own CSS file, like this one here. As you can see, we've overwritten the margin for the paragraphs, we've overwritten the margin for the H2s, we've even overwritten the colors of the links by simply specifying them on this CSS file here. What else can we do here? Let me see, if I click on one of these articles here, I'm seeing everything looks normal. So I don't want to dive too much into how to do pretty much everything. Obviously there's not enough time to do that, but let me show you one thing you can do. If we go back to our developer tools to inspect the code, one of the things that you'll notice is that Drupal adds quite a few lines of markup to the content that it creates. And this is no different than what other content management systems do. So this is very common. But sometimes you want to clean things up. You don't want the markup to be so much. Because, for example, in this case, we have a div here. Inside the div, we have another div. And then we have the paragraph. There are ways, there are modules that can allow you to clean things up so you don't have all this extra markup. For the header, we have h2. That's just pretty clean here. So, but these divs, for example, that Drupal add is the divs that you can use to style your elements. As an example, we have this div here, right? And then we have this other div, and then we have a paragraph here. So I can say this div has a class of, it gives me the class right here. It's a CSS class. Field, actually a couple classes. Field name body, field name tag text with summary, field label hidden. So those are the different classes that I can actually use on my CSS file to style things. So I can use one of these. If I double click on this, I can actually copy one of these fields. I can say for this one here, the summary one. Let's see where does that start. I think it's this here. In fact, why don't I copy the whole thing? And then I'll go and paste it on my CSS file. It will be clear here where it ends, where class field. Yeah, I'm going to use this. You don't have to use them all when you want to style something. It looks like this is one class. So I'm going to do this for the div that has this class, and if there is a paragraph inside of that class, the div, I want to say background. Let's see here. I don't know if this is going to be darker or lighter than what the page background is. Padding, I'm going to do 10 pixel padding around. You'll see in a minute what I'm trying to do here. Border, 1 pixel. And border radius, 4 pixel. And I'm going to save this. So the bottom line here is I'm saying there's a div with this class, right? We saw that there on the developer tool. So there's a div with that class, and inside that div there's a paragraph. So I'm creating a rule, a CSS rule that says the paragraph that is inside this div, I want it to inherit these properties here. So if I go here and refresh my page, what you're seeing here is that I've singled out, actually not singled out because it looks like every paragraph has the same classes, the divs with those classes. But the point here is that you can use those classes or IDs that Drupal creates on those divs to style your elements. I can say there's ways on you can single out just the very first paragraph or the first line and use those classes to style your elements. So I've shown you here a simple example of how you can use the Drupal generated classes or IDs to style your elements. Same goes for any other type of element. Maybe this was not a good example. Let me actually, I'll leave that for now, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to see what this login block looks like. And I call it block because that's a Drupal term. Drupal is created this block, and it's got this inside this sidebar here, and then there's this block, and the block is called sidebar first, right? And here's the block itself. Each block is given an ID. IDs are unique, obviously, so you can only have one element on the page with a single ID. With classes is different, as you saw here. See how every paragraph was styled the same way. That's because every paragraph is inside the same div with the same class. Let me correct that. Every paragraph is inside a div that has the same class. That's why all of them inherit the rule that I created. So classes are great to work with. I use classes more than IDs because I can use classes multiple times on the same page versus ID. I can only use it one time on a given page. I can use it again on another page, but I cannot use the same ID on the same page. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to style the login block here, the login screen. They say username and password with the button and everything. So instead of the paragraphs, I'm going to use, and you can see with the class, you put a dot before the class name. With IDs, you specify a hashtag, and I'm going to give it the same style, but this time to the login block. I'm going to refresh my screen, and now you can see that my login block now is styled with the properties that I specify, which is a nice dark background with a nice border and round corners. So that's how you can style your website, taking advantage of Drupal's auto-generated markup, IDs and classes. But there are also ways, there are modules that allow you for you yourself to generate your own IDs and classes if you want to use more user-friendly classes, you know. So there's no way that you can ignore Drupal's IDs and classes basically. And so this is a very, very simple example on how you can style your new theme once you've created it, whether you use Drush or not. Once your theme is enabled in place, you can start styling it, designing your website the way you want it, and have control of the look and feel of your website. So this will do it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and please feel free to comment on this video and rate it. I would really appreciate a positive rate. But make comments, because the reason I create these videos is because of your feedback. If you tell me there are things that you'll be interested in learning, hopefully I do know those things, and I'll be able to create some more videos for you guys. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Have a great day. Have fun with Drupal. Drupal is an incredible content management system to work with. I really enjoy working with it. It's very flexible. It's so very easy to work with. So have fun with it, enjoy, and if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email or comment on the video. Okay, thank you so much. Bye-bye.